MC. Story time with Ronnie. Okay, what do we got going on here? The Island of Dr. Moreau, Part 14. And the drive? Oh, we switching it up. Finally, we switching it up. We's going the other direction. We's heading from just outside of Superior. I just got through Superior, and I'm gonna make it to the Timber Camp Campground. You know, it's in the Tonto National Forest, and it's right on the edge of the 60. And actually, the 60 goes right past it, right? So, but it's right on the edge of the Salt River Canyon is where the reservation starts. So it's the last national forest area that you can stay at before you get through the res. So now this story, Island of Dr. Moreau. Now we left this thing off. Prendick had realized that he was out too late, was trying to get back to the compound, and he was pretty sure he was being creeped on. Somebody was following him through the thickets, and he was doing just a bit of a mild freak out kind of thing, and he was looking this way and looking that way, and he'd stop real quick and turn around, and he could never find anybody there, but we'll pick it up there. I moved away from the thickets, keeping to the more open ground, and endeavoring by sudden turns now and then to surprise this thing, if it existed. In the act of creeping upon me, I saw nothing, and nevertheless my sense of another presence grew steadily. I increased my pace, and for some time came to a slight ridge, crossed it, and turned sharply, regarding it steadfastly from the further side. It came out, black and clear-cut against the darkling sky, and presently a shapeless lump heaved up momentarily against the skyline and vanished again. I felt assured now that my tawny-faced antagonist was stalking me again, and coupled with that was another unpleasant realization that I had lost my way. Let's take a look at this drive. Now, this is in the summertime, which it is right now on this drive. This is where it starts to get interesting, because you just start going up, and all of the hot air from the Phoenix Valley is trapped on this side of these mountains. It is trapped by one set of mountains over on the southeast side, and then it's trapped by the Mogollon Rim on the north. So you got to get up, through, and over it. And there's this last pull up here that ends up here with it's pretty much the last pull before you get into the Salt River Canyon area. And there's a highway ADOT thing right there, and oh boy, this road in the summertime just eats up vehicles if they're not in good order, or you're just having a bad day. You know, it gets them. Anyway, it's all up from here, and it's usually a pretty slow grind, about 55 mile an hour in the middle of summer, because it's just so hot. You just can't push them that hard. Okay, now here we go back on this story that I had lost. Oh, right. Okay, so he's all lost his way. He knows somebody's following him. He's skewered. For a time, I hurried on, hopelessly perplexed. Hurried on? What direction were you going? Pursued by that stealthy approach. Whatever it was, the thing either lacked the courage to attack me, or it was waiting to take me at some disadvantage. I kept studiously to the open. At times I would turn and listen, and presently I had half persuaded myself that my pursuer had abandoned the chase, or was a mere creation of my disordered imagination. Then I heard the sound of the sea. I quickened my 4 steps, almost into a run, and immediately there was a stumble in my rear. I turned suddenly, and stared at the uncertain trees behind me. One black shadow seemed to leap into another. I listened rigid. I heard nothing but the whisper of the blood in my ears. I thought my nerves were unstrung, and that my imagination was tricking me, and turned resolutely towards the sound of the sea again. In a minute or so, the trees grew thinner, and I emerged upon a bare, low headland running out into the somber water. The night was calm and clear, and the reflection of the growing multitude of the stars shivered in the tranquil heaving of the sea. Some way out, the wash upon an irregular band of reef shone with a pallid light of its own. Westward, I saw the zodiacal light mingling with the yellow brilliance of the evening star. The coast fell away from me to the east, and westward it was hidden by the shoulder of the cape. Then I recalled the fact that Moreau's beach lay to the west. A twig snapped behind me, and there was a rustle. I turned and stood facing the dark trees. I could see nothing, or else I could see too much. Every dark form in the dimness had its ominous quality, in peculiar suggestion of alert watchfulness. So I stood for perhaps a minute, and then, with an eye to the trees still, turning westward to cross the headland, and as I moved, one among the lurking shadows moved to follow me. My heart beat quickly. Presently, the broad sweep of the bay to the westward became visible, and I halted again. The noiseless shadow halted a dozen yards from me. A little point of light shone on the further bend of the curve, and the gray sweep of the sandy beach lay faint under the starlight. Perhaps 2 miles away was the little point of light. To get to the beach, I should have to go through the trees, where the shadows lurked, and down a bushy slope. Oh, let's take a look at this drive, see how we're making out. I don't know how long this drive is. In terms of time, it's probably about half an hour or so. Oh yeah, see, we're still going up. And this is one of them killers, because if I had the gauge view up, I didn't have the gauge view camera on there yet. And oh boy, it'll easily be 110 degrees here going up this slope. Okay, yeah, well, all right, before I just sit here and watch the video, remember, oh, guess what? You guys will never guess. Yup. I lost my spot. Lurking moves shadows to follow me. Okay. Starlight, perhaps 2 miles away. Little point of light. Yeah, lurking, bushy slope. Gotcha. I could see the thing rather more distinctly now. It was no animal, for it stood erect, and that I opened my mouth to speak, and found a hoarse phlegm choked my voice. I tried again and shouted, "Who is there?" There was no answer. I had advanced a step. The thing did not move, only gathered itself together. My foot struck a stone. That gave me an idea. Without taking my eyes off the black form before me, I stooped and picked up this lump of rock. But at my motion, the thing turned abruptly as a dog might have done, and slunk obliquely into the further darkness. Then I recalled a schoolboy experiment against big dogs, and twisted the rock into my handkerchief, and gave this a turn around my wrist. I heard a movement further along off in the shadows, as if the thing was in retreat. Then suddenly my tense excitement gave way. I broke into a profuse perspiration and fell a trembling, with my adversary routed and this weapon in my hand. What? It was some time before I could summon resolution to go down through the trees and bushes upon the flank of the headland to the beach. At last I did it at a run, and as I emerged from the thicket upon the sand, I heard some other body come crashing after me. At that I completely lost my head with fear and began running along the sand. Forthwith there came the swift patter of soft feet in pursuit. I gave a wild cry and redoubled my pace. Some dim black things, about 3 or 4 times the size of rabbits, were running or hopping up from the beach towards the bushes as I passed. So long as I live, I shall remember the terror of that chase. I ran near the water's edge and heard every now and then the splash of feet that gained upon me. Far away, hopelessly far, was the yellow light. All that night about us was black and still. Splash, splash, came the pursuing feet nearer and nearer. I felt my breath going, for I was quite out of training. It whooped as I drew it, and I felt a pain like a knife at my side. I perceived a thing would come up with me along. Hang on a second. I perceived a thing would come up with me long before I reached the enclosure, and, desperate and sobbing for my breath, I wheeled round upon it and struck at it as it came up to me. Struck with all my strength. The stone came out of the sling and the handkerchief as I did so. As I turned, the thing which had been running on all fours, rose to its feet, and the missile fell fair on his left temple. He actually got him. The skull rang loud, and the animal man blundered into me, thrust me back with his hands, and went staggering past me to fall headlong upon the sand, with his face in the water, and there it lay still. I could not bring myself to approach the black heap. I left it there, with the water rippling around it under the still stars, and gave it a wide berth. Pursued my way towards the yellow glow of the house, and presently, with a positive effect of relief, came the pitiful moaning of the puma, the sound that had originally driven me out to explore this mysterious island, and that, though I was faint and horribly fatigued, I gathered together all my strength and began running towards the light. It seemed to me a voice was calling me. Ooh, that's chapter 9. That's chapter 9. So he went and killed somebody. He's just going to be like, hey, what? Oh, yeah, no, if somebody would have told me. All right, he's coming up on that 1A dot side up here on the right, and I bet you we might even see somebody here. This is just a killer right here, this one. Oh boy, yeah. Oh boy, how exciting! Anyway, yeah, she's a nice drive and a real hard pull in the summertime, and you just got to know that you're going to see a lot of them. Yeah, there's a place you can, and usually, there's a fence here. It's locked, but at least you can bury in there if you can make it that far without the radiator coming apart. That kind of thing. Okay, let's get back to it here. We got chapter 10, The Crying of the Man. As I stood near the house, I saw that the light shone from the open door of my room, and then I heard, coming out from the darkness at the side of that orange oblong, the voice of Montgomery shouting, "Prendick! Prendick!" I continued running. Presently I heard him again. I replied by a feeble halloo, and in another moment had staggered up to him. "Where have you been?" said he, holding me at arm's length so that the light from the door fell on my face. "We have both been so busy that we forgot about you until about half an hour ago." He led me into the room and sat me down in the deck chair. For a while I was blinded by the light. "We did not think you would start to explore the island of ours without telling us," he said. "Then I was afraid. But what? Hulu?" For my last remaining strength slipped from me, and my head fell forward on my chest. I think he found a certain satisfaction in giving me brandy. "For God's sake," said I, "fasten the door." "You've been meeting some of our curiosities, eh?" said he. He locked the door and turned to me again. He asked me no questions, but gave me some more brandy and water, and pressed me to eat. I was in a state of collapse. He said something vague about his forgetting to warn me, and asked me briefly when I left the house and what I had seen. I answered him as briefly and in fragmentary sentences. "Tell me what it all means," said I, in a state bordering on hysterics. "It's not so very dreadful," said he, "but I think you have been about enough for one day." The puma Sladley gave a sharp yell of pain, and at that, he swore under his breath. "I'm damned," said he, "if this place is not as bad as Gower Street with its cats." "Montgomery," said I, "what was that thing that came after me? Was it a beast, or was it a man?" "If you don't sleep tonight," he said, "you'll be off your head tomorrow." I stood up in front of him. "What was the thing that came after me?" I asked. He looked me squarely in the eyes and twisted his mouth askew. His eyes, which had seemed animated a minute before, went dull. "From your account," said he, "I'm thinking it was Bogle." I felt a gust of intense irritation, which passed as quickly as it came. I flung myself into the chair again and pressed my hands on my forehead. The puma began again. Montgomery came round behind me. "Oh, I see we made it into the... Well, let's just hang on now. Let me put a mark on it. Man, we made it all there already. I didn't think we were going to make it there already. All right, I must have got really... Oh, I can see what's going on here, yeah. So I probably jimmer-jammer with this guy for a bit. And then, you know, probably takes me 10 minutes to get situated and that kind of thing. But here we are pulling into this campground, and I pulled in here. And, yeah, the stuff on the right over there was the goop camping, and there's a daytime little picnic area there. You can stop and use the restroom and stuff like that. Down here, now this is just a really nice campground in the shoulder season. It's a little hot in the summer. It's a lot hot in the summer. In the wintertime, it's a little cold because it's right in this little kind of a slot kind of, well, not a slot canyon. It's in a very shaded area, and it doesn't get a lot of sun in the wintertime, so it's a little chilly. But on them shoulder seasons, he's nice. But there's only a couple that'll fit the bigger rigs, and this is one of these campgrounds that have in the past experienced where the camp host has got one of the big sites because of course they have a big rig. They're all full-time kind of thing, but then they have people come and visit them, and well, of course they got big rigs too because they're probably full-timers too, but you know, they end up staying for a long time because, well, there's nobody here. Well, you know what, it's, you come driving in there and the sites are full, like, yeah, not going to stay. So there, it always appears like there's nobody there because, yeah, you know, the big sites are full. Anyway, I roll around here, and there was some kind of a weird thing going on. The machine that sells you the ticket that you have to get to stay here was broken. So because there's that certain window of hours, I think it's 48 hours in between when you can book it and when that shows up kind of thing. There's like a 2-day bit there. Because of that 2-day bit there, if you were staying for 1 or 2 nights, it was free because they had no way to charge you. But if you were staying longer than that, they were going to make you turn around and go back into Superior and buy these little passes that you can buy at the gas stations and stuff, and you hang them in your window. Fortunately, we carry some of those because we camp in the Tonto quite a bit, but the only place that I could stay in here was this double site. And of course, I think, oh, you know, maybe I'll just pull in this way. So, and then I got to thinking, oh, you know what? I don't even like that. So then I got to spin around and do it the other way. So yeah, and I'm by myself. All right, so let's just see where we're at. Oh yeah, we're gonna, oh boy, you know, if I step on it, we might get through another chapter. Come on, throw it to coal to it, boy. All right, here we go. Montgomery, the puma began again. Montgomery came round behind me and put his hand on my shoulder. Look here, Prendick, he said. I had no business to let you drift out into this silly island of ours. But it's not so bad as you feel, man. Your nerves are worked to rags. Let me give you something that will make you sleep. That will keep on for hours yet. You must simply get to sleep, or I won't answer for it. I did not reply. I bowed forward and covered my face with my hands. Presently he returned with a small measure containing of dark liquid. This he gave me. I took it uninterestingly, and he helped me into the hammock. When I awoke, it was broad day. For a little while I lay flat, staring at the roof above me. The rafters, I observed, were made out of the timbers of a ship. Then I turned my head and saw a meal prepared for me on the table. I perceived that I was hungry and prepared to clamber out of the hammock, which, politely anticipating my intention, twisted around and deposited me on all fours on the floor. I got up and sat down before the food. I had a heavy feeling in my head and only the vaguest memory, at first, of the things that had happened overnight. The morning breeze blew very pleasantly through the unglazed window, and that the food contributed to the sense of animal comfort I experienced. All right, let's take a look. Oh yeah, so here I decided to spin around. I got no Jeep today. I think I got the DR on the back, and I didn't travel too many times with the Suzuki. It's a Suzuki DR 650, and it's just too big. I can't. I'm not tall enough. I'd need a step to put it up on the moto tote. And it's just not real safe for me. And I don't need that much bike anymore, so all good. Comfort I am experienced. Presently, the door behind me, the door inward towards the yard of the enclosure opened. I turned and saw Montgomery's face. "All right," said he. "I'm frightfully busy," and he shut the door. Afterwards, I discovered that he forgot to relock it. Then I recalled the expression of his face the previous night, and with that, the memory of all I had experienced reconstructed itself before me. Even as that fear returned to me, came a cry from within, but this time it was not the cry of the puma. I put down the mouthful that hesitated upon my lips and listened. Silence, save for the whisper of the morning breeze. I began to think my ears had deceived me. After a long pause, I resumed my meal, but with my ears still vigilant. Presently I heard something else very faint and low, and I saw, as if frozen in my attitude, through it was faint. Oh, okay. What are we doing here? We're just sitting here staring at let's just call it right there. That's probably good enough. I'm starting to stumble upon my words here. So I'm gonna more than normal, thank you. I'm gonna mark it right there. I don't even know where it's at. Don't care. Camping hair, don't care. All right, let's take one last look at this thing. Oh yeah, see, yeah, we're just gonna sit here and stare at out into the woods for the next 5 minutes. I'll probably level it maybe. All right, let's do this thing here, and then we'll let Rosie have it. Sam C. Okay, you big old Rosie. Do your thing now. Ah, there you go, baby.